Hello and welcome to Stars Out of School, where teachers use the fact that they only work a few hours a day and have these massive long holidays to... I'm joking. But you will wonder where our stars find the time as they achieve incredible and unusual things outside the classroom. In this show, we'll meet Paul Coleman, who's got lots of strange little friends. But first, it's another Paul, Paul Williams, with a little bit of showbiz.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul Williams and I'm Head of Music here at Maghull High, and this is what I do during the day. Maghull is a town not too far from Liverpool. I've been teaching at Maghull High now for coming close to 3 years, and have the great privilege of working with a fabulous head of drama, Nikki, and also have a great head of faculty, Alistair.
His personality sort of revolutionised music in the school. It was quite a low ebb when he came, and he'd actually been doing some supply work here. The children got wind of the fact that he was applying for the full-time head of music job, and the day he got appointed for the job, we told the children, and they all cheered.
We put on a play of Into the Woods, and it was great. Well respected.
It was almost as if he got appointed by the children as much as the staff.
Paul is an amazing person to work with. He's incredibly dynamic.
He's got a great sense of humour.
Very inspiring.
He makes them laugh, he engages them.
He charms people.
He can be larger than life when he needs to be.
Humorous, very polite.
He can be quite tough when he has to be.
He inspires the children, it inspires me, and it motivates people around him.
He makes his mark everywhere he goes. You know that you've met Paul Williams, you know.
For naughty children.
When Paul is not teaching music at Maghull High School, he is...
Musical director at the Little Theatre.
No, he isn't!
Oh, yes, I am!
Dressed in style, brand new towel, father's apron tie on, but I wouldn't give it time.
Welcome to the Little Theatre. Outside school, I work very actively as a musician, keyboards, piano, or working as a musical director on various productions. I'm currently working on Dick Whittington at the Little Theatre in Southport. The Little Theatre as a building is now owned by the Southport Dramatic Club, who about 5 or 6 years ago managed to raise enough money to actually buy the theatre for £120,000, which probably is the best money ever spent on anything ever, because it's such a fabulous building. That's your stuff for the Derby Kell. It jumps back up at the very end. Now the rhythm that's in the accompaniments, in the tracks, at the end there is... boiled beef and carrots.
I'm Arnold Gorse, I'm treasurer here at the Little Theatre, and also this year playing Dame in panto. And here we are, Dame Sarah Suet. We've got about 9 full sets in this show, but we're very lucky here at Southport in having a theatre that can stage big productions. The theatre was built in 1937, was when we first opened. We're luckily what's called a full flying house, so that the stage has the facility for scenery to be able to fly up into the gods above the stage. And as you can see, a 400-seat theatre, of which we're incredibly proud, really, to be owned by an amateur society.
I have actually been associated with the theatre for 13 years. I actually joined there when I was 14. When I was 17, the current musical director actually pulled out, and they decided that they would like me to do it. Since then, I've never looked back. This is the pit at the theatre. This is where I sit, right in the centre, so that I'm in control of the rest of the circus. And basically what happens is, at home in my studio, I record all the other instruments, strings, flutes, the works, and the rest of the musicians, play live during each performance. It's got a much fuller sound for the run of the pantomime.
But just tell me something, why is Paul Williams getting all the attention when we're the stars of the show? Especially me. No chance. Bye-bye, boys and girls. Oh, it's locked.
I really, really enjoy the theatre aspect of my life, the musical direction. Balancing my day career, my job at school, against the performance aspect of my life is really very difficult. Often I sit down and say to myself that next year or for the next few months I'm not going to take on any extra work. However, there's part of me that just can't manage without it. I was asked a question not so long ago by a student as to when I knew I wanted to do music for a living. And the answer has to have been, I don't think I could have ever lived without it, and you can't imagine it any other way, to be perfectly honest. My hopes and ambitions for the future are to carry on just loving what I do. That to me is really important, to be able to get out of bed in the morning and think, yeah, you know, today's going to be a good day because I'm doing what I love.
We see Paul's activities out of school as vital to his job, really, and what he learns from that and what he gains from that he brings to his teaching.
It really is a joy, you know, to be here and be able to work with such talent. Good night, God bless, safe journey home, and we'll see you all next year. Fabulous.
Paul Williams, clearly a great teacher. Either that or he slipped his colleagues a couple of quid. I shouldn't joke, because he's behind me. Our next star out of school does something altogether different. Paul Williams gets his pantomime performers to come out of their shells. If Paul Coleman did that with his charges, it'd be a disaster. Here he is.
I'm Paul Coleman. I teach ICT at Dean Close Prep School in Cheltenham. The school was founded in 1886. On the first day there were 9 boarders, 2 day boys. Now, over 120 years later, we're looking at a full community of 850 from 2-year-olds to 18-year-olds. The school was in fact one of the first of this type to go co-educational in the country. Log yourselves on. Those sheets I gave you last week, you need to pull them out. The school is a Christian foundation, and that involves all the ethos and morals that you might expect. If you work hard, think carefully, you should finish before the end of the lesson and get a bit of free time. I've taught here for 26 years. It's a very, very comfortable environment. You can put in equals sum.
Have I saved it?
All right, and then put a bracket. Teaching ICT, it's instant results. You can put over a concept, they understand it, they put it into practice, and within a few seconds, they've learned something, and there's great R, and it's really boosting for a teacher. But when I'm not teaching ICT at Dean Close School, Cheltenham, I'm a tortoise keeper and conservationist. Fellas, in you go. You see that? Myself and my wife, Maggie, who's also a teacher, have been keeping tortoises for 27 years. We have a garden with 4 sheds in it, a garage, 3 greenhouses, all full of about 30 species of tortoise and turtle, total in excess of 250 animals. Large ones, small ones, rare ones, ones that people give away. Here's a pancake tortoise, and we've called her Patty Pancake. They've got very long legs, and they do a lot of running. This is Precious. These are his Gula Scoots, because he's a fighting tortoise. And he's ugly, and he's aggressive, and if he gets you trapped in a corner of a shed, he'll beat you up. Now, I love him. Inevitably, we get tortoises handed in to us with sad stories. This particular tortoise was attacked by a rat, had all of the skin eaten off of the front of her legs here, and a huge hole eaten into her tail. She's better now. There's no hole in her rear now, so we've had to change her name, which was Hole in the Bum, and it's now Mrs. Two Plates, because having recovered, she's now eating us out of house and home, eats twice as much as any other tortoise. Amazingly, keeping all these animals, we'd never actually ever gone abroad to see one in the wild until 1997, when a group of friends decided to get together and travel to the Galapagos Islands and see the giant tortoises in the wild there.
You're not having my kind of beer.
And recently we decided to chase the big sea turtles in their natural environment, and we learned to scuba dive. So now our trips are based around swimming with turtles in the sea. I suppose the best memory of our tortoise keeping over the years would be our first ever hatchling, first ever egg that hatched into a little baby terrapin.
Yeah, I remember you coming into the kitchen and we danced around. We couldn't believe this little tiny hatchling, this little tiny green thing, because we'd never seen a baby before, never seen what they actually looked like, and it was just absolutely brilliant.
One thing you can't really understand is how tiny these animals are when they're first hatched. And they're as delicate and as frail as paper. Crossover for me is the education factor. When I'm at school, I'm teaching kids my subject, IT. When I'm at home, I'm teaching people my subject, which are tortoises. We share our knowledge with other tortoise keepers in the local areas. The identification of tortoise becomes very important as a precaution against theft. And we have an ongoing passport, which is a booklet of information that we build up about the tortoise. And then we'll photograph their tortoise on the underside, and that's unique. An elderly tortoise keeper once told me, "There's nowt as queer as folk, and nowt queerer than tortoise folk." And that about sums up keeping tortoises, really. We're a close-knit community who feel very much sort of off the mainstream, but it doesn't stop us. Off to see a friend called Brian, meet another friend called Paul who's going to be there for a brief exchange of tortoises. Yeah, how you doing? Oh, brilliant. I'm looking forward to getting a yellow female off of Brian. Hello, Mildred. See if one of my lads fancies you, eh? And Paul is looking forward to getting some Gulf Coast box tortoises off of me. Nice and dark, that one, isn't he?
Oh, he's pretty.
Well, what I like most is about a tortoise is the fact that they are completely alien species to mammals such as ourselves, and they're inscrutable, trying to work out what's going on in their head. That's what I love doing, is watching them, just to see their habits and their behaviours.
And I like watching them eat. Some of them are very messy eaters as well, which is great.
For the future, there are three main objectives I want to really attain. The first is to educate people more in the ways of tortoises and how to keep them. Second thing is the animals I've got here, some of the rarer ones, get them breeding. And the third, of course, to help other people with their breeding groups across the world getting involved and doing what we can to save, basically, what are endangered animals.
Paul Coleman. And what is that tortoise? Tortoise? Ha comedy. Paul Williams should put that in one of his pantomimes. Oh no, he shouldn't. Now, have you got another string to your bow? Have you had exciting adventures beyond the classroom? If you've got a pastime you think we'd like to hear about, write to info@wisedup.com. That's Stars Out of School. I'm Rob Deering. Goodbye.